All right, let's dive into a world that's, well, let's just say bold doesn't even begin to describe it.
Yeah,
We're
definitely.
talking about Jenny Scordamaglia,
Oh, yeah.
the Miami TV host who's known for, shall we say, pushing the boundaries of what's considered acceptable on television.
You can say that again.
We've got this meetingvenus.com article
Okay.
that lays out her whole journey.
Fascinating.
It is. It is.
From aspiring model
Right.
to this media figure who just keeps challenging the norms.
And it's not like she's just, you know, accidentally flashing a bit of ankle here or there.
No.
This is deliberate.
Exactly.
This is using nudity as a tool to make a statement.
A statement.
Right, but the question is, what is that statement?
Well, on the surface, you could just say, oh, it's all about shock value, you know?
Sure.
But I think there's more to it than that.
I think so, too.
If we dig a little deeper,
Yeah.
there's a layer of social commentary here.
I see it.
She's making us think about,
Yeah.
how we view the female form
Yeah.
and how it's portrayed in the media.
Yeah, it's definitely not the typical polished image we're used to seeing.
Not at all.
You know, the perfect hair, the perfect makeup, the perfect outfit.
Right.
I mean, the article even talks about how she used to show up at these, like, high-profile events in Miami, practically wearing nothing.
Oh, yeah.
That takes guts, but it also makes you wonder, what was she going for?
Well, it definitely got her noticed.
For sure.
Especially in a place like Miami where everyone's trying to stand out.
Right.
But I also think it's about control.
Control.
Yeah, like she's taking ownership of her body and her image.
Okay, yeah.
Turning the tables on what society expects from women in the spotlight.
Interesting take.
Whether you agree with her methods or not, you can't deny that she's made an impact.
Oh, absolutely.
She's sparked this whole national conversation.
Conversation.
About what?
About nudity and its role in the media.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many different perspectives on this.
I bet.
You've got people praising her,
as a champion of body positivity,
Right.
celebrating her confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have others who are outraged.
Yeah, I could see that.
They see it as attention-seeking
Mm.
or even offensive.
It really makes you think about where the line is
Exactly.
between self-expression
Yes.
and just being inappropriate.
It's a complex issue
Yeah.
with no easy answers.
That was the answers.
But one thing is for sure,
What's that?
Jenny Scordamaglia has started a debate that goes way beyond just her.
Okay, so it's not just about her as a person.
Right. It's about bigger issues.
Like what?
Like how we view women's bodies, censorship, and the future of media itself.
Wow. That's a lot to unpack.
It is.
But before we dive into all of that,
Yeah.
let's talk about some of the specific things that have made her so famous or infamous.
Well, there are plenty of those.
The article mentions some stories that are like straight out of a movie.
Right.
Like that whole body paint incident at that nightclub opening.
Talk about making an entrance. And then there was that time
Oh, yeah, what about that?
she just strips down in the middle of a live interview.
I can't even imagine the producers' faces.
It's those unpredictable moments that keep people glued to the screen.
She's like a live wire. You never know what's going to happen next.
Exactly. But it also makes you wonder about the logistics of it all.
Right?
Like, how do they even film these segments?
I know. It can't be easy to navigate all the potential legal issues.
Oh, and try to keep it somewhat decent.
Decent. Yeah, that's a good word for it.
There must be some crazy stories from behind the scenes.
Oh, I bet.
It's not just about capturing those shocking moments either.
So it's more than just point the camera and let her do her thing.
Right. There's a whole creative process involved.
Like what?
Building anticipation.
Okay.
Finding that sweet spot between pushing the envelope and keeping people entertained.
I never thought about it like that.
It's a delicate balance.
For sure.
And speaking of pushing the envelope,
Oh, yeah, here we go.
we can't forget about her Do You Dare
Right.
segments.
Those were legendary.
She would challenge her guests to do the craziest things live on air.
It was like watching a train wreck.
But you couldn't look away.
Exactly.
The article even mentions this one time.
What happened?
This well-known news anchor
Oh, no.
ends up stripping down to her underwear.
No way.
It just goes to show the kind of atmosphere she creates.
Where anything is possible.
Exactly.
And all bets are off.
It's like she's holding up a mirror to society,
Oh,
daring us to let go of our inhibitions
mm-mm.
and embrace our wilder selves.
Which can be exciting and terrifying at the same time.
Exactly.
It definitely raises a lot of questions.
For sure.
But before we dive into those, I'm curious about how she handled the pandemic.
The pandemic.
Yeah. When the world shut down,
Right.
a lot of performers struggled to connect with their audience during that time.
Yeah, it was a tough time for the entertainment industry.
But it seems like she actually thrived.
Well, in a way she did.
So what did she do? I'm guessing it was more than just baking bread and doing Zoom quizzes.
Oh, much more.
All right, spill the beans.
She launched a series called Naked Yoga with Jenny.
Wait, you're serious? Naked yoga? That's, bold, to say the least.
It's definitely on brand for her.
But was it just about getting attention, or was there a genuine desire to connect with her audience?
That's what we'll explore next.
Sounds like we're about to uncover a whole new layer of this story.
We are just getting started.
Buckle up, everybody.
This is going to be a wild ride. Naked Yoga with Jenny.
It's certainly a choice.
It was a pretty wild time.
Yeah.
Everyone was stuck at home, looking for ways to stay connected.
Makes sense.
And a lot of creators turned to online fitness.
Yeah, like those Zoom workout classes.
Exactly.
Did it actually catch on, though?
I mean, online fitness definitely exploded.
Okay.
But naked yoga,
Yeah.
not so much.
So she was really pushing the envelope even further.
Oh, absolutely.
And of course, there's the OnlyFans account, which seems like it's become the go-to platform for a lot of creators these days.
Especially for someone like Scordamaglia.
Yeah, I mean, she's already pushing boundaries with her on-screen persona.
It's like a natural extension of her brand.
But it also makes you wonder about her motivations.
In what way?
Like, is it purely about making money?
Right.
Or is there a genuine desire to connect with her audience on a deeper level?
Well, the article doesn't really delve into her motivations too deeply.
Okay.
But it does mention that she saw it as a way to offer her fans something more intimate and exclusive.
That's interesting.
And it fits into this whole trend of blurring the lines between traditional media and online platforms.
Like she's creating her own little media empire.
Exactly. And it raises questions about who really controls the narrative in this new media landscape.
That's a good point.
Is it the creators, the platforms, or the audience?
It's a power dynamic that's constantly shifting.
For sure.
But getting back to the content itself,
Yeah.
I'm curious about the reaction to all of this.
What do you mean?
I mean, we've talked about the controversy surrounding her TV persona,
Right.
but taking it to this level with the naked yoga and OnlyFans,
Yeah.
did it alienate some of her viewers?
It's hard to say for sure,
Okay.
but the article does mention that she faced some backlash.
Which is not surprising.
Not at all.
But what were the main criticisms this time?
Well, some people accused her of exploiting the pandemic for personal gain.
Using it as an excuse to push even more provocative content.
Exactly.
And others questioned the appropriateness of nudity in a context that's supposed to be about wellness and self-care,
It's that fine line again.
between challenging norms and being disrespectful.
Right.
And it's a debate that goes beyond just Scordamaglia.
It does.
We're seeing similar conversations around the use of sexuality in advertising and the rise of influencer culture.
It's all connected.
Like we're trying to figure out the rules of the game as we're playing it,
And Scordamaglia is right there in the middle of it all,
forcing us to confront these questions.
whether we like it or not.
And while her approach might not be for everyone,
Definitely not.
there's no denying that she's sparking important conversations
Absolutely.
about body image, self-expression, and how we consume media.
It's a fascinating case study.
But before we go too deep into the theory,
Yeah.
let's rewind a bit.
Okay.
The article mentions that her antics weren't just limited to the internet.
Oh, right.
She took her show on the road.
Mm-hmm. And where does she go?
Well, let's just say it was a rather unexpected destination.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this.
Egypt.
Egypt. Talk about a culture clash.
It seems like she really went all out,
Like what?
walking through markets in next to nothing,
Oh, wow.
taking a dip in the Nile au naturel,
You're kidding.
and of course,
Let me guess.
a photo shoot at the pyramids in a very revealing bodysuit.
Bold move.
It definitely got people talking.
But it also raised questions about cultural sensitivity
All right.
and respect for local customs.
It's one thing to push boundaries in your own country.
But when you're in a different cultural context,
The stakes are higher.
absolutely.
You have to be aware of how your actions might be perceived.
Especially when it comes to something like nudity.
Did the article mention any reactions from the locals?
It said there were mixed reactions.
Which makes sense.
Some people were amused, others were offended, and some were probably just confused.
It's a completely different culture.
And what might be seen as playful in one place can be deeply offensive in another.
It's a reminder to be mindful of cultural nuances.
And to think about how your actions might affect others.
But I have a feeling Scordamaglia wasn't too bothered by the controversy.
You know her.
She seems to thrive on it,
The article definitely paints her as someone who uses controversy to her advantage,
like she's always one step ahead.
anticipating the backlash and using it to fuel her fame,
And let's be honest, the media loves a good scandal.
especially when it involves someone like Scordamaglia.
It's a symbiotic relationship.
The media needs the controversy to sell headlines.
And figures like Scordamaglia need the attention to stay relevant.
It's a game they both know how to play.
And speaking of media attention,
Oh, yeah.
her trip to the UK was a tabloid frenzy.
I can only imagine.
He followed her every move.
It's like she becomes a caricature of herself in the tabloids.
Reduced to a series of scandalous headlines.
Stripped of any nuance or complexity.
Which, in a way, plays right into her hands.
It does.
It keeps her name in the spotlight.
Whether the coverage is positive or negative,
Exactly.
it's a game she knows how to play.
And whether you admire her savvy,
Or find it manipulative.
there's no denying that she's mastered the art of generating buzz.
She has.
But amidst all the controversy and media hype,
Yeah.
it's easy to lose sight of the bigger questions.
What are those?
Like, what are her motives?
Right.
Is she a genuine advocate for body positivity?
Hmm.
Or is it all just a calculated act for fame and fortune?
That's the million-dollar question.
Isn't it?
And it's one that each viewer has to answer for themselves.
There's no easy answer.
No.
It's a mix of ambition,
Self-expression,
social commentary,
maybe even a bit of genius marketing.
and maybe that's the point.
What do you mean?
Maybe she's forcing us to confront our own assumptions about what's real and what's performance, and what it means to challenge the status quo in a world that's obsessed with image and attention.
That's a pretty deep thought.
Well, this is a deep dive after all.
Cheers.
As we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on her legacy.
Her legacy.
Yeah, how will she be remembered?
That's a tough one.
It is.
Will she be seen as a cultural revolutionary? A savvy self-promoter?
Or something in between.
I think only time will tell.
That's fair.
But what's clear is that she's made her mark on the media landscape.
Absolutely.
She's challenged our perceptions of what's acceptable.
And push the boundaries of self-expression.
Unforced us to confront some uncomfortable truths about ourselves.
She's a force to be reckoned with.
No doubt about it.
But as we conclude this episode, I think it's important to remember that her story is still being written.
Oh, for sure.
Who knows what she'll do next?
One thing's for sure, though.
What's that?
We'll be watching.
And probably cringing and gasping along the way.
Hey.
That's the price of admission to the Jenny Scordamaglia show.
A show that never fails to entertain.
And make us question everything.
So on that note,
Yeah.
we'll leave you to ponder the many layers of this fascinating story.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and maybe even embrace a little bit of your own inner rebel.
You never know what you might achieve.
Okay, so we've talked about her past,
Mm-hmm.
but what about her future?
What's next for Jenny Scordamaglia?
Yeah. Where does she go from here?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is. I mean, she's already pushed the envelope so far.
Right.
It's hard to imagine what she could possibly do next.
Exactly.
The article hinted at some even bigger plans.
Oh, really?
Yeah, something that would make those Egyptian adventures look tame.
I wonder what it could be.
Did they give any specifics?
Not really. They're keeping it pretty vague.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, it builds anticipation.
Right.
But they do mention that she's exploring opportunities in film and reality TV.
That wouldn't surprise me.
No, she's a natural in front of the camera.
And she's got that knack for captivating an audience.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
interesting to think about how her career might evolve,
Yeah.
especially with the way the media landscape is changing so rapidly.
It's a whole new world out there.
With streaming services, social media influencers,
Right.
it's like traditional television is struggling to keep up.
And she's already ahead of the game.
She's got a strong online presence.
Mm-hmm.
She's not afraid to experiment with different platforms.
And most importantly,
Yeah,
she's her own boss.
exactly. She's not tied down to network executives or advertisers.
That gives her a lot of freedom.
But freedom can be a double-edged sword.
It can.
On the one hand, she could be as bold and unconventional as she wants.
Right.
But on the other hand, she's navigating a very unpredictable landscape.
Where the rules are constantly changing.
It's high risk, high reward.
Definitely.
She's building her own media empire.
Yeah.
But the foundation is built on controversy,
And pushing boundaries.
which could either backfire spectacularly
Or make her even more famous.
It's fascinating to watch unfold.
It is.
And it's not just about her individual success either.
Right. It's bigger than that.
She's become a symbol of this larger cultural shift, where the lines between entertainment, self-expression, and social commentary are blurred.
She's a walking, talking embodiment of this new era.
Where anyone with a smartphone can become a star.
It's both exciting and terrifying.
Yeah, For sure.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Jenny Scordamaglia,
Yeah.
what have we learned?
What's the takeaway for our listeners?
I think she teaches us a valuable lesson.
Okay.
Even if her methods are controversial,
Go on.
it's a lesson about self-empowerment,
Uh-huh.
about challenging the status quo.
Interesting.
She reminds us that we don't have to conform, that we can create our own rules,
I like that.
and that sometimes the best way to make a statement is to be unapologetically yourself.
Even if it makes people uncomfortable.
Exactly.
It's a powerful message.
It is.
She's a fascinating case study in how to navigate fame in the digital age
How to use controversy to your advantage.
and how to build a personal brand that people can't ignore.
Love her or hate her,
Yeah.
you can't deny her impact.
Jenny Scordamaglia is a force to be reckoned with,
Absolutely.
and she's not going away anytime soon.
So as we sign off,
Yeah.
we encourage you to think critically,
Mm.
to question everything.
And maybe even embrace a little bit of your own inner rebel. You never know what you might achieve if you dare to break the rules.
That's the essence of a true deep dive.
Exploring the uncharted waters of human experience
Challenging our assumptions.
and emerging with a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
Until next time,
Stay curious
stay engaged.
and stay tuned for more fascinating stories.
That will make you think, question, and maybe even inspire you to dive a little deeper.